Alright, going to be tying up Kelly Gallup's Barely Legal in a Game Changer platform, kind of similar to this fly, except we're not going to have that swinging D diving head and this paddle tail that I've been tying in a couple of them, but the marabou body basically stacked up. That's where I got the idea from, just watching Kelly Galloup spin up one of his Barely Legals. Looked awesome, so put it on a Game Changer platform, and here we are. We're going to be doing just kind of a gray and white color scheme. I'm going to start with a 10 millimeter articulated fish spine. I'll be using Vivis GSP 150 thread in white. Get a little thread down. A little touch of Zap-A-Gap back there to set everything. Tail's pretty simple on this one, it's just some marabou. We're going to be doing, what's this one? Dyed fluorescent silver doctor, I think. I can't tell, it's got a price tag over it, but it's just kind of a lighter gray. So I'm just going to get two of these guys, kind of the smaller ones. They don't have to be perfect. For the tail section back here. I even kind of like these guys that have that kind of like tail shape in there. It gets kind of thick again, so I'm going to take away a bunch of this feathers down here that I'm not going to be tying in. One thing that you want to do, and I'll go through this too as we're tying the fly, is when you tie this marabou in, you want all the ends to line up the same. They all come up here and they're straight across. There's not some hanging down here. It just helps the fly move better. Just going to kind of stack these on top of each other. That's good right there. Not too long of a tail. Tie those, well, there we go. Tie that in. Snip her off. This is kind of a cool trick I saw somebody do when they're tying or cutting marabou off or whatever. If you twist it, it lets you get in there just a little bit closer. Kind of cuts down on all that poofy feathers in the front that want to push your blades away. So we'll church that up in a second. And then this is just going to be from Fish Hunter. They make great marabou fluorescent white UV. Here we're only going to get one. Flip this guy upside down. Pop him in. Kind of a loose wrap just to get it set. Line everything up. Pull kind of tight after that. Cool. That's it for the tail. Really nothing. Then just whip finisher off. Before I cut my thread, just going to get a little UV. A lot of the times I'll put that UV stuff on like a bodkin and kind of paint it on, but I had a little bit more space right there and just kind of went for it. Alright, cut that guy off. The reason I wait to cut it off till after I glue it is sometimes with that GSP thread I'll do a couple of half hitches and I cut it off and I can kind of see it loosen up a little bit. So we're going to throw another 15 millimeter spine on there, fish skull. I will try to get a fingernail kind of in there just to kind of pry it open, just to even the slightest bit really helps it for when you go to slide on. You don't want to create a huge gap obviously, but it makes it easier to put it on there. So that guy's out, this guy's in. And you'll see a lot of this fly is basically the same steps, just repeated over and over on a larger scale as you get towards the front of the fly. So again, I'm going to get that zap coat. There we go. Couple turns. So basically what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be using this Chocklett's body chenille in white and bubblegum pink a little bit, in the medium and also the large, to kind of build up the shoulder ever so slightly going forward. And we're going to stack the marabou on top and below. We're not going to palmer it though, we're just going to tie it in. So right here, very little, one turn, really, that's all. So I'm just going to cut a very little tiny piece off. Sometimes I'll go in there and cut away the materials that are closest to that braided core. If I'm being really specific with my tying, if I really want to get everything just right, it just allows you to, and then move that thread back a little bit, it just allows you to get a better tie-in point, and it seems to hold up better. Those flies tend to not come apart after heavy use. So that's basically it. Then you just get it in just one full rotation around. Pull kind of nice and tight. Cut that guy off. And new scissors. So nice. Okay. Now we're going to get our first piece of marabou. Going with that gray, we're going to peel away these fibers down here. So the key to this fly is you want those fibers to stack on top of each other, but you don't want them, like I don't want to make this really long and have it cover that whole tail section, right? You want it to go about halfway back. That's from the man himself, Kelly. He says about halfway back from the previous feather that you tie it in. So 1, 2 around, pull tight. I do 2 more around. Get your marabou, twist it, cut it upside down. Gonna go for our first white marabou on this section. So we got our white. We're gonna peel away some of those fibers towards the bottom of the stem. On this vise, it's kind of hard to judge where how long I want that bottom section because the vise is in the way, right? So what I usually do is just line it up with the top one, and if you're going to err on the side of being it shorter. That looks about right. Loose, just to line everything up there. Looks good. Pull them tight. One more time around. Then you're good. We'll finish that guy. There we go. So here we're a little tighter. I will utilize the bodkin. There we go. And just kind of touch it on, roll it around here. Hit it with the light. There we go. Okay, that looks good. Third 10mm section. So again, just get your thumbnail in there and you can pry it out just a little bit. Makes it just a touch easier getting in there. Okay. Same thing here. Just a little thread base. Touch a zap-a-gap. A little bit more of this body chenille now. Might do 2 turns. Getting wild with it. Again, I'm gonna cut off both sides right here, just like a 1/16 of an inch. Giving myself about a 1/16 of an inch of that coral braid that's underneath there. That's all it is. That's all I did is just cut that off there. Tie it in. do try to kind of palmer that chenille back the best I can, get everything moving in the same direction. So there we go, there's 2 full turns. Pull everything back. Grabbing our gray marabou. And again, we want that marabou to be about halfway back on the previous, right? So that's too far. So shorten it up a little bit. Shorten it up even a little bit more. There you go. Same deal with the white. Measuring it again, using the top one as a reference point. Kind of slowly around that first one. Just get everything setting where you want it. Once you get 2 wraps, kind of tighten up on it. So as you can see, there's not a ton of extreme skill with this tie, at least the way I'm doing it. The biggest thing is getting those marabou proportions right. Just taking your time with those. Kind of the less is more, just not getting crazy with those wraps of body chenille and just kind of being patient, working your way towards the front of that fly. Light it up. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 10 millimeter shanks there. We're going to go ahead and jump to our first 15 millimeter shank. Get that guy in there. Nice and good. Him out. Okay. Thread base. Zap a gap. Our hook of choice after this section here is going to be the Gamakatsu SL12S short in a size 2. And then our front hook is going to be the same hook but a 4-aught. So, getting a little beefy there. So let's go ahead and tie some more of that chenille in. Let's see, there's 1. And we might do 3 here. That's 2. 3 full wraps on that section, on the 15 mil section. And what that helps do as well is it elongates this part, right? So now we can tie in a longer feather and we're starting to build a little bit of that bulk that we want. Grabbing our silver here, our gray feather. Halfway back is where we want it. I've got a little bit more room here. I was going to start this on the next section, but I think we're going to start it right now. I'm just going to put 1 turn of this bubblegum pink. And this is the large, so we've jumped up, and I'm also going to cut to that core braid. We've also jumped up in this being the body chenille being large. The previous sections were all tied with medium clear or white. So just 1 full turn of this stuff. There we go. As I was saying before, we've got a big smolt out migration in late spring, early summer. And that's what this fly is going to mimic. So putting a little pink in there, it's a nice touch. Yeah, that's better. Gives it a little bit more lift. Round once, twice. Get everything set. 2 good pulls. All right, flip it over. Getting our white out. Getting rid of some of those fibers down low. Double checking our work with the top wing. Tie it in right about there. Yeah, that's good for me. Over the top, nice and easy. Straighten everything out. Take a look at it from above if you have to. Over twice. Then you can pull pretty good. Little whip finish. That section's good to go. Finish it with some UV resin. Cure it. And we're on to our first hook section here. Great. So that's coming along. Nice little taper there. Alright, so we're going to pop this guy out. Get our Gamakatsu SL12S short, size 2. Thread base going. Okay, before I do that, then we're going to actually get out our Senyo's intruder wire. Don't need a real long piece of this either. You know, I always cut them, and I think I cut them short enough, and then I have like 2 inches left over. So let's try this again. I cut off maybe, I don't know, there's a lighter, about a lighter's length. Probably still going to be too long. What you want to do here though is get your brush bowl, Zap-A-Gap or super glue, and kind of coat the whole hook from the bend almost to the front. Because when I set this on there, I'm going to set it right on top. Kind of as I wrap forward and back, I start to tighten up a little bit, but I don't want to shift that thread. I want it to be right on top. So the heavier wraps they're coming. And you actually want to wrap down the bend of the hook a couple times, and I'll show you why. When you loop this guy on, you want those eyes to match up. See how this one's higher? The back eye's higher. That means you got to go down maybe 2 more wraps. Check it again. That's pretty close. I'm going to go 1 more. Pull pretty good, and then wrap back up. Let's see where we're sitting. Yeah, that's good. It just helps the fly swim better when everything's in line like that. You could try to get this one on top too, but it's never going to sit there. It's just going to sit off to the side a little bit. That's fine. See, like another 2 inches just wasted. Get some Zap-A-Gap and give it a good coating. And then just work your thread back. Sometimes I use my thumb to just keep that intruder wire just straight right where I want it. And you don't need a big loop back here. Pretty small. And then I'm going back up again, even tighter wraps. I'm not worried about this getting pulled out. There's no hook back there or anything like that. But just for construction reasons, like keeping a fly that's going to keep its shape and all that. I stop right there at the point, swap over to my large body chenille and clear. Just going to do maybe 2 wraps here as well and flop over to the bubblegum color again. Tie that guy in, couple wraps forward, maybe not quite halfway to halfway through the hook. Wrapping this guy forward, so it's 2, 3, maybe 4. Yeah, so that's not quite halfway. Well, it's pretty much kind of, maybe it's right there at halfway. And occasionally that Zappa gap isn't all the way dry or soaks through the thread, so I take a little brush and just kind of make sure it's free, not globbed together on there. There we go. Swap into our bubble gum. This one, everything's like sweeping back one way already, so you know, when you tie this stuff in, just take a look at it. It's like, hey, is this already going this way? If it is, then help it out and just tie it in that way. Then you're kind of already set up. Right? Just like that. Little reverse brush. Pick out another gray feather. A little bit longer because of that hook. So yeah, it's about halfway there. Now grabbing another white piece of marabou here. Double checking that it's not any longer than the gray. Either in a perfect world you want them perfectly equal, but like I said before, if you're going to err on one side or the other, go for a shorter one. Make sure everything's kind of lined up there. If it wants to roll on you like this one just did, just give it back. There we go. So when I saw, I knew this fly existed. I mean, I've seen it in fly shops forever and books and people fishing and stuff like that. You know, just been steelhead fishing for a while now, and time flies, and you know, most of them are marabou. And so when I was in a YouTube wormhole the other day, watching people tie and just getting inspired by different patterns, yeah, he was tying this one up. And it just clicked. It's like, god damn, yeah, nothing moves like marabou. You know, that's why I like to fish it the most for steelhead. It's just, stuff looks so good in the water. So it was kind of a no-brainer after seeing all of Blane's flies and all the crazy mad scientist stuff he's doing. That format, the Game Changer format, just, I'm sure people have tied them with marabou before. I just hadn't seen a bunch or hadn't seen anyone do this pattern. So I sat down a couple days ago, and yeah, it took me a while. Still not perfect by any means, but man, they look so good in the water. I'm really excited to go fish this pattern. So you can kind of see the taper starting, right? This guy might have been a little long in the back, but he's going to lay down with the tail nice. We're starting to build some bulk there. So now 15 mil spine. Toss them in. That guy out. This guy back in. So 15 mil spine. Let's get it going. Thread base. Zappo Gap. Body chenille in large, clear. Tying that guy in. And then just same thing, wrap it forward. If I get my thread out of the way. About halfway down the shank, tie it off. Maybe give it a brush. Go with the bubble gum. Some guys, they'll have like this whole strand out, and they're like using the vise correctly, you know, spinning around. I never got into that system. I'm sure it's much better than I'm doing right now, but yeah, I never really liked using the rotary function of this vise unless to like turn upside down or around. I never used it to actually tie my thread in or materials or anything. I felt like I kind of never get the amount of pressure that I wanted. But I know that's from me just not doing what that's from me not knowing what I'm doing. That's what I'm saying. I just bring that up because people that see me tie it in person say I waste a lot of materials because I'm always throwing like little pieces like this away, and you know, half my marabou and all that stuff. And it's just the way it's always been. So, spinning that guy forward. Maybe one more, real tight in front of that guy. That's gonna be tough. Nope. Gotta leave room for the marabou. So a couple turns. Yeah, those smolt that out-migrate, they just have like this nice little pink hue sometimes to them. And that's kind of what that idea is with that little bit of underlaying. Another marabou, another gray marabou. Measuring it. It's about halfway. Spin it upside down, tie in your white one. Use our top guy to gauge it. Good deal. So like I said, pretty easy steps. I mean, you don't have to be, although this fly is time consuming, I will say that, it's not like you're marrying wings like on a classic Atlantic fly or steelhead pattern or something like that. You're not spinning deer hair or anything like that. It's just marabou, tying it in, trying to keep all your clumps, you know, sparse, but and developing that taper going through. That's it basically. So, more UV. The only difference really is as we get to the next couple sections, and definitely the hook up front, we're going to start using 2 pieces of marabou per stitch just to add some bulk. And that final one at the head might even have 3 chunks each on the top and the bottom. We'll see what it's looking like. Kelly's pattern calls for 1 all the way to the end, unless you can't find a really thick full one, then he uses 2, like the last tie-in. But there's not really any recipes out there for a changer, so I'm kind of just seeing what sticks and what looks good. I'm also, as you can tell, I'm not tying any flash into this fly. all that body chenille and stuff, it's got a little bit of glitter. This stuff's UV that I'm tying into, so there's, you know, no shortage of shine in there. But just, I don't know, I've kind of been backing off the flash for these flies and everything. Definitely still in the steelhead flies, but the stuff I haven't been adding a bunch. So that was our 15. Gonna look into our starter pack, because I don't actually have a whole pack of 20s, and you want a 20. He's in. Okay, right there. Zap. All right, so same thing. Large finesse body chenille. Cutting away to get to that core. And wrapping it forward. About halfway. Tie it off, cut it off. Give a couple brushes. And then come in with the bubblegum pink again. Pulling pretty good on this stuff. It kind of helps it stand straight up when you stretch it. There's a little bit of elasticity in there, and so just makes it, give it a bigger profile once you get up into this last kind of articulation, which it's gonna be. You definitely want that stuff to stand up high. Here's something I do sometimes when I really want that kind of bigger shoulder. This little tag that I got, I'll just kind of fold it over itself, kind of reverse tie it in. Sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't. This time I'm gonna. See how it just kind of gives it that little extra point there at the top. I don't know, I like it. Sticking to it. Cool, all right. So now we need a pretty good chunk, right? So this is the first one. We're gonna use 2 gray feathers at the top here, just to add a little bit more mass. There we go. So we got 2. Gonna lay them on top of each other here. Just want those ends to match up. Doesn't matter if the bases don't. Okay, that's looking better. A little thicker. Yeah, right about there. Okay. Clean that up a little bit. And then same thing for the bottom. 2 white ones. Check with the top. Looking good. Once, twice, pull. Cut off. All right. UV. Good, light it up. It's gonna get all cured. Cool. Just realized this looks like a multi-articulated steak and eggs we'd fish in Alaska or something like that. That's funny. It's just a really fancy disguised bead. Okay, so that was our 20. Now we're going to get one of these 25 millimeter shanks. Before we attach it, gotta go get my pliers. Got it. So what you want to do is cut the eye of the spine off. So just put it in a pair of dikes or a pair of really old shitty pliers. Then she's gone. She's looking like that. Slide that attachment on there again. Pop this guy out. And we're going to get our front hook, which is going to be our larger Gamakatsu SL12S short. And this is a 4-aught. Really big gap, really sturdy hook. It's not that big of a hook for a 4-aught. You think 4-aught, you think, holy crap, but as everybody knows, like hooks, there's so many different styles and everything that I've seen a size 1 that's bigger than a 3-aught, and you know, all sorts of stuff, long shanks, triple long, you know, bent 90-degree jig hooks, all sorts of stuff. So the 4-aught, it's not that big. I mean, again, the lighter size difference here. It's not a huge hook. Small mouth, large mouth, it's all good. So, front hook, thread base in it. Spinning gel spun just helps it to kind of give it a little bit more of a bite, so it's not just flat, super slick on your hook. Here, same thing as that previous hook, kind of go down the hook a little bit, and you kind of go up to the eye. Because what we're going to do here is get that shank tied in. Don't want it too far back, and you don't want it too far forward. You just want it kind of an extension of that hook. So that's kind of where I have it. The gap is just before the bend back here, if you can see that. And I did some pretty light wraps, and then I'm going to do some pretty heavy ones. Oh, that's sticky. She good. Just a little bit of zappy gap in there. Okay, so large polar chenille again, or sorry, body chenille. All right, so yeah, the large finesse body chenille. Cut away some of it to get our tie-in point. And you want to start this one basically right before the point of the hook. Same song and dance, wrap it forward, peel that stuff back. All right, so this is just Indian hen saddle or soft hackle hen saddle. You could probably use schlop, and you can use whatever. I like the big pec fins when I'm tying them in. Kind of just want it to stand out a little bit. So something like that. Like I said, fairly big. You can make them smaller if you want, just personal preference. And then how they've got that concave, just tie it so it flares out. Just a couple forward, I'll grab that stem and just a couple back, just lock it in. Yeah, same thing for the other side. There. Looks good. Throwing our pink in. Give yourself about, I don't know, 2 inches or so of that guy. Just going to do a few wraps. All right. Folding it back as I go. Same thing I did on the previous one. I'm just gonna fold that back. Just tie on the end of it a little bit there. Just to give a little bit extra wing. Okay, so here I'm going to take 3 pretty large, pretty full gray marabou feathers. I want this thing to definitely have a bulkier head than the rest to continue that taper. Just get rid of some of those feathers way down low on the stem. I'm going to stack these just one on top of each other there. Making sure the ends line up. That's the important part. Checking our taper. That looks good to me. Once around, twice around, pull tight. 2 more. All right, top one's done. Spin it around on the bottom here. Looks good. Get 3 of these guys. Again, some pretty thick white ones. Same thing, just peeling off some of those fibers way down on the base of the stem. Just getting away, don't need them. Makes it a little bit easier to work with. Stack them on top of each other, just to line those ends up. It's coming along. Check our length. It's pretty good right there. Up. And then you can give it some tight wraps. We're just going to go in and try to lop this whole thing off. All right. Give that guy a whip finish. UV cure. Awesome. So yeah, there it is. Kelly Gallup's Barely Legal on a Game Changer platform. Nice little taper to her. Not a lot going on. not a lot of materials. I mean, besides the shank and thread and hooks, you got body chenille and marabou. Hen saddle up here if you wish. Easy to cast. Thing moves so good. So yeah, I'm stoked on this one. Gonna tie it in a bunch of different colors and go fishing.